"Son, we only have enough money for one ticket. Your brother really deserves this trip." That's what Dad told me during breakfast. Like choosing between your kids was normal. When they got back from Disney World, they walked into an empty house. Not messy. Empty. Every single thing I ever paid for was gone. My name is Marcus. I'm 28 years old. For 10 whole years, I was their walking wallet. I paid for groceries. I fixed their broken car. I even bought their new TV. And what did they give me back? Nothing but cold shoulders and mean words. They called me bossy. They called me a show-off. They said I thought I was better than everyone. That morning at breakfast, I asked a simple question. "What about me, Dad?" He kept eating his eggs like I wasn't even there. "Marcus, you have your own money. You can go on trips whenever you want." So I did go on a trip, just not the kind they thought I would. I kept every receipt. Every piece of paper that showed I bought something. Those papers became my proof. They picked my brother for the fun trip. I picked myself for a new life. But wait until you hear what happened when they opened that front door. This whole thing didn't just happen in one day. It started a long time ago. The way they treated me was wrong from the very beginning. My little brother Ryan has always been their favorite. He's funny, he's loud. Everyone notices him when he walks into a room. Me, I was the quiet one. The one they called when something broke. When Ryan crashed his bike and ruined it completely, guess who bought him a new one? Me. When Dad lost his job for 3 months, guess who paid the rent so we wouldn't lose our apartment? Emmy. When Mom wanted a fancy new couch because the old one had a rip, guess who paid the extra money? That's right, me. "Just this one time, Marcus," she would say. That one time turned into 100 times. I gave them $600 every single month since I was 18 years old. They said it was helping the family. I said it was surviving. Because in our house, love always came with a price tag. When I finally saved enough money to buy myself a nice watch, Mom looked at it and frowned. "Do you really need something so expensive?" When I told them I wanted to move into my own place, Dad got angry. "You're leaving us, Marcus, after everything we did for you." Everything they did. I was the one paying for everything. Ryan dropped out of college because he wanted to become a famous gamer. He bought expensive cameras and microphones. He posted videos of himself playing games and eating pizza. And somehow, every time he ran out of money, it became MY emergency. I kept telling myself they would notice someday. They would see the difference between helping someone and using someone. But the more I gave them, the more I disappeared. It was like I only existed when they needed money. Last year on my birthday, they let me pick the restaurant. I was so happy. Finally, they were treating me special. Then at the end of dinner, Dad pushed the bill across the table to me. "You're paying, right, Marcus? It's your celebration." He laughed like it was a funny joke. I smiled because crying would have made everything weird. Later that night, Mom called me. "Sweetheart, Ryan needs $400 for new gaming equipment. You can send it tonight, can't you?" Her voice was so sweet and soft. Like she was asking for something small, something that didn't matter. I said yes. I always said yes. When I was in college, all my friends went on spring break trips to the beach. I stayed home and worked extra hours at my job. I sent all that money to pay off Mom's credit cards. Ryan posted pictures at the pool with his friends. The caption said, "Family is everything." He meant MY wallet was everything. Driving home that night, the streetlights blurred past my window. I thought about every single time I said yes when I wanted to say no. Every time I paid money just to feel like I belonged in my own family. And then it hit me like a truck. I had been paying to be part of a family that never really wanted me there in the first place. After that breakfast when they told me about the trip, something inside my chest went completely silent. Not broken, just done. You know that feeling when you're so tired of something that you can't even feel angry anymore? That's what happened to me. I went to my room and opened my laptop. I looked at my bank account. I looked at every single payment I ever made. 10 years of helping. 10 years of watching my savings get smaller and smaller while their lives got bigger and better on my money. The numbers told the whole story. $68,000 in rent payments. $31,000 on furniture, appliances, and house stuff. A new fridge, a washing machine, a coffee maker, Ryan's gaming computer. All of it sitting in that apartment. My money, their comfort, their nice life. I thought about all the times they never said thank you. All the times they said things like, "You're so lucky you have a good job." Like working hard was just luck. Like I didn't earn every single dollar. That weekend, I printed out every receipt, every text message where they promised to pay me back someday. I made folders with different colors for different things. red for furniture, blue for rent, green for Ryan's stuff. If they ever tried to say I was lying, I wanted proof that I was telling the truth. Then I did something I never thought I would do. I went to see a lawyer. A lawyer is someone who knows all about laws and rules. She looked through all my papers and her eyes got really wide. Most people don't keep records this good, she said. I guess I learned to write everything down when love came with rules attached, I told her. She smiled, but she looked sad. Then you already know how much you're worth. She explained something important to me. When you buy something with your own money, it belongs to you. It doesn't belong to someone else unless you write on paper that you're giving it to them. Every big thing I bought was still mine. When she said that, I felt like I could finally breathe again. Like I had been underwater for 10 years and finally came up for air. I walked out of her office feeling lighter, not happy yet, but clear. Everything made sense now. For so long, I thought leaving meant I was a bad person, a bad son, a bad brother. Now I understood something different. Staying was what hurt me. Staying was the real betrayal. I was betraying myself by staying. I started looking at apartments in a city called Portland. It's a place I always loved but never thought I could actually live there. The trees, the rain, the coffee shops on every corner. It felt like a life I wasn't allowed to have, but maybe now I could. At night, I would sit by my window and look at the city lights. My computer screen glowed with apartment listings. Each one felt like a little act of rebellion, like I was breaking a rule just by looking. Between the tabs for moving trucks and apartment prices, I made a new folder on my computer. I named it My Life. For the first time ever, I wasn't saving documents to prove I was right. I was saving plans for freedom. At work, I asked my boss if I could work from home. Work from anywhere, really. She didn't even hesitate. Marcus, you've earned this freedom. That one sentence felt more loving than anything my parents said in YEARS. I stopped answering their texts right away. I would wait, sometimes for hours, sometimes for a whole day. Each time I waited, it felt like I was taking back a little piece of myself, a piece I didn't even know was missing. For the first time in my whole life, I imagined something amazing. A life where my money was mine, where my peace and quiet belonged to me. Nobody could take it away. And when the plane tickets for their Disney trip showed up in our family group chat, I smiled to myself. A real smile. The day they got on that plane, I stopped being their backup plan. I stopped being their ATM machine. I became something else entirely. Free. They left on a Thursday morning. I watched from my bedroom window as Dad loaded 3 big suitcases into the car. Mom was wearing her fancy sunglasses. Ryan was filming everything for his videos, already acting like he was a celebrity. "Don't burn the house down, Marcus," Ryan yelled, laughing like he was so funny. Mom blew me a kiss through the window. "Water the plants, sweetie. We'll bring you back a souvenir." Their car disappeared down the street. I stood there on the sidewalk. The air felt different. It felt clear. It felt like it was mine. By 9 o'clock that morning, I made my first phone call. "Hello, this is Marcus Chen. I need to schedule a pickup for tomorrow morning, please." The moving company I called was perfect for situations like mine. They helped families who were splitting up. Quiet separations. Stories that didn't need to be told to everyone. Patricia was the lady who answered the phone. She didn't ask me a bunch of questions. She didn't make me explain my whole life story. She just said, "We'll take care of everything." That night, I walked through the apartment one last time. Every room whispered memories I didn't want anymore. The fridge I bought humming in the kitchen. The washing machine spinning quietly in the closet. The couch where I used to sit alone while Ryan and his friends laughed in the other room. Everything here had my fingerprints on it, except for love. There was no love here for me. I took pictures of everything with my phone. Each picture was like a little goodbye. This wasn't about being mean. This was about keeping records, about proving the truth. Friday morning, the moving truck pulled up right on time. 2 men in matching shirts got out. They were polite and professional. I handed them my folder full of receipts and lists. They didn't need me to explain anything. They had seen this exact story before. Other people like me. Other people who finally said enough. The fridge went into the truck first. Then the couch, the washing machine, the fancy TV, Ryan's gaming desk with all the LED lights. Piece by piece, the apartment started to look empty, like a movie set after the movie is over. By late afternoon, the place looked completely hollow, like nobody had ever lived there and been happy. I left the old couch in the living room, the ugly brown one with stains that Mom always hated. It felt right somehow, leaving them with their past, with the things they actually owned. Before I locked the door for the last time, I put an envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside was a letter. Mom, Dad, Ryan, everything I took belonged to me. I paid for it with my own money. For 10 years, I funded your entire lives while you called me selfish and bossy. I'm done being useful only when it's convenient for you. Think of this as payback for every favor that became a demand. The apartment you're coming back to is the one you built without me, the real one. I slid the key through the mail slot. The sound it made was final, like closing a book you'll never read again. Driving away, I looked in my rearview mirror. All I could see was open sky. No guilt weighing me down, no fear. Just quiet. That night, I slept better than I had in years. My phone kept lighting up with missed calls, but I didn't look at them. They were still somewhere over the ocean, flying home. They had no idea they were flying back to an empty apartment. By the time their plane landed, I had already crossed state lines. I had already crossed out the role they wrote for me. The sunrise that next morning looked different. There was no heavy weight on my chest, no names in my phone demanding more from me. For the first time, silence felt like peace, not emptiness, but beginning, a fresh start. And that beginning was mine. They landed on a Sunday night. My phone started buzzing like crazy before I even finished unpacking my boxes in my new place. First Mom, then Dad, then Ryan. One text came through that said everything I needed to know. "What have you done?" I didn't reply. Instead, I made myself coffee. I sat by my new window. Peace was so much louder than their panic. By noon, my email was full of angry messages. Mom's email came first. It was long, full of big words about betrayal and family and disrespect. She called me cruel. She said I was heartless. Dad's email was colder, shorter. "This is theft, Marcus. You can't just take what you gave us." And Ryan, his voice message was a full minute of crying and yelling. "How could you ruin my life like this? I can't even make videos now." I almost laughed out loud. Ruin his life? I had simply stopped PAYING for it. That evening, my lawyer called me. "They filed a police report," she said calmly. "They're claiming you stole their property." I took a deep breath. "Let me guess, they don't have any receipts or proof." She actually laughed a little. "None at all. I already sent all your documentation to the police. The officer said their case is extremely weak." For once, justice wasn't loud and dramatic. It was quiet, patient, organized, like me. The next morning, I woke up to an email from Dad. The last line said, "You'll regret this when you're all alone." I wrote back just one sentence. "I've never felt less alone in my entire life." Days went by. The messages kept coming like waves. Threats about lawyers, guilt trips about family. They rewrote history in their messages. They said I had mental problems, that I was unstable, that I had lost touch with family values. But each message felt weaker than the one before it, because truth has a calmness that lies just can't copy. 2 days later, Ryan called from a phone number I didn't recognize. I answered it. His voice sounded small and young. "Marcus, please, we came home to nothing." "I left what was yours," I said. "And I took what was mine." "I can't make my videos without my equipment," he whispered. "Then build it yourself," I said. "The same way I built mine, with your own money, your own work." He tried a different approach. "Mom has been crying for days. Can't you just be reasonable?" "Reasonable was 10 years," I said clearly. "This is fairness." There was a long silence on the phone. Then I heard him sniff. "Do you hate me?" he asked. "I don't hate you," I said honestly. "I just stopped funding your life." I told my new building's security team something important. "My family is not allowed past the front lobby." Boundaries aren't mean. They're not cruel. They're just instructions on how to love me properly. Then a big official letter arrived at my door. It was a threat to sue me, to take me to court. My lawyer handled it in 3 short sentences. "Every item was purchased and documented by my client. All proof has been provided. Further contact will be considered harassment." After that, silence. Real silence this time. Not the kind where you're waiting for the next explosion. The kind where things are actually over. For years, they controlled me with obligation, with guilt. They made me believe love was something you earned by paying for it. But now every call I ignored, every dollar I kept in MY account was a line drawn in permanent ink. A boundary that couldn't be erased. I wasn't their provider anymore. I wasn't their emotional support or their financial cushion. I was Marcus. Whole, complete, unapologetic. And for the first time ever, they were the ones left empty-handed. They were the ones who had to figure it out themselves. Been 6 months since the last message from them. The silence feels completely different now. Earned, not forced. At first, I kept checking my phone every hour, half expecting another guilt trip disguised as love, another emergency that was somehow MY responsibility. But the quiet stayed. And in that quiet, I started to hear my own voice again, my own thoughts, my own dreams. Mornings don't start with panic anymore. They don't start with my heart racing, wondering what they'll ask for today. They start with sunlight coming through big windows, coffee made exactly how I like it, just for me, and a kind of peace that used to feel expensive. Now it just feels normal. I've learned something important. Freedom doesn't always come with clapping and cheering. Sometimes it just looks like paying your own bills, buying your own groceries, and knowing that nobody else has a claim on your happiness. I still think about my family sometimes, not with anger burning in my chest, just with distance. Like they're people I used to know. I hope they're okay. I really do. But I've stopped confusing their comfort with MY responsibility. I used to think leaving meant losing everything that mattered. Now I know it meant finding what was left of me. The real me. The me that got buried under 10 years of demands and guilt. I'm learning how to buy things for myself without hearing mom's voice in my head saying it's too expensive. How to say no without writing a 5-page explanation. How to rest without feeling like I need permission. Portland feels like being born again, like getting a second chance at life. I go hiking on weekends. The trees are so tall they touch the sky. I work with people who respect my time and my boundaries. And I'm dating someone named Sarah who doesn't flinch or get weird when I say, I need some space tonight. She just says, okay, text me tomorrow, and means it. My life isn't perfect. I'm not going to lie and say everything is amazing all the time. But it's mine. Fully mine. Paid for in full with my own money and my own clarity. If you've ever been called selfish for choosing yourself, listen to me carefully. You are not selfish. You are surviving. You are allowed to stop pouring water into cups that have holes in the bottom. You are allowed to save some water for yourself. Have you ever been through something like this? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you're going through this right now, please know you're not alone. Thousands of people are watching this video who understand exactly what you're feeling. Because peace isn't passive. It's not weak. It's not giving up. Peace is the LOUDSD kind of strength. And sometimes the best revenge is simply living well, living freely, living on your terms. I want to tell you something else that nobody talks about. The guilt doesn't just disappear overnight. Even now, 6 months later, sometimes I wake up and think, should I check on them? Should I send some money just to make sure they're okay? And then I remember. I remember the breakfast table. I remember Dad not even looking at me. I remember Ryan's face when he got picked for the trip and didn't even say he wished I could come too. I remember Mom's voice asking for money on my birthday. And then the guilt fades away like morning fog. You can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. That's what my therapist told me. Yes, I see a therapist now. I never had time before because I was too busy working extra hours to fund everyone else's dreams. Therapy is expensive, but you know what's more expensive? Spending your entire life paying for love that was never really love at all. My therapist helped me understand something crucial. I wasn't taking anything from them. I was taking back what was always mine. There's a difference. A big one. Taking is when you steal something that belongs to someone else. Taking back is when you reclaim something that was yours from the start. Every piece of furniture, every appliance, every electronic device. All of it was purchased with money I EARNED. Money I worked for. Money that came from MY time, MY energy, my life. And you know what else I learned? Family isn't about blood. It's not about who you share DNA with. Family is about who shows up for you, who celebrates your wins, who says, I'm proud of you without asking for anything in return. I have more family now in Portland than I ever had growing up. My coworker James, who brings me coffee when I'm having a rough day. My neighbor Patricia, who waters my plants when I travel. Sarah's parents, who invited me to Thanksgiving and didn't expect me to pay for the turkey. That's family, real family, the kind you choose. Some of you watching this might be thinking, but Marcus, they're your parents. Don't you owe them something for raising you? And here's my answer. No, parents choose to have children. Children don't choose to be born. Raising your kid isn't a favor they're doing for you. It's not a loan you have to pay back with interest for the rest of your life. It's their job. It's what they signed up for when they decided to become parents. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't help your parents if they fall on hard times. If you want to help and it doesn't hurt you, that's beautiful. That's love. But when helping becomes HURTING, when giving becomes losing yourself, That's when you have to draw a line in the sand and say enough. My parents didn't fall on hard times. They had jobs, they had income. They just liked my income better. They liked not having to budget, not having to make hard choices, not having to tell Ryan no sometimes. I made their lives easy, and in return, they made my life hard. So no, I don't feel guilty anymore. Some days I feel sad. I feel sad that this was how it had to end. I feel sad that they chose comfort over connection with me. But sadness isn't the same as regret. I don't regret leaving, not for one single second. If you're watching this and you're in a similar situation, here's what I want you to know. Start keeping receipts now. Document everything. Every payment, every Venmo, every check, every cash handout. Take screenshots of text messages. Save emails. Create folders. One day you might need that evidence. And when that day comes, you'll be so glad you prepared. Also, talk to a lawyer. Most will give you a free first meeting. They can tell you what your rights are, what you're legally allowed to do. Knowledge is power, and you deserve to have that power. And finally, give yourself permission to leave. You don't need anyone else's approval. You don't need them to understand. You don't need closure or a big dramatic goodbye. You just need to decide that you matter. That your life matters, that your peace matters more than their comfort. It's been the hardest and the best decision of my entire life. Leaving didn't make me a bad person. It made me a free person. So to everyone who's ever been called selfish for setting boundaries, hear me now. You're not selfish. You're self-PRESERVNG. There's a difference. A massive one. Selfish is taking what isn't yours. Self-preserving is protecting what is yours. Your time, your money, your energy, your peace. All of it belongs to you first. And if that makes me selfish in their eyes, I'll wear that label like a badge of honor. Because on this side of freedom, words don't hurt me anymore. I'm Marcus. I'm 28 years old. I used to be a wallet. Now I'm just a man who chose himself. And I've never been happier. If my story helped you in any way, please hit that like button. Subscribe to Iron Revenge for more stories of people who chose themselves. And drop a comment telling me your story. I read them all. Thank you for watching until the very end. That means you're serious about change. And that's the first step to freedom. See you in the next video.